Okay, so let's go ahead. We're going to take a peek at sine first. So just the regular old y equals sine x, right? We're looking at, it looks like a graph. But when we were looking at the unit circle, you guys, we were saying that sine of 0 is 0. So we're actually going to go ahead and create a table based off of those points that we did. So the rest of them was sine of pi over 2 is 1, sine of pi is 0, sine of 3 pi over 2 is negative 1, and then sine of 2 pi is 0. So you guys have that already in your notes. We're going to go ahead and just plug in these x values. So 0, pi over 2, pi, 3 pi over 2, and then 2 pi. And then our y values are 0, 1, 0, negative 1, 0. This right here, this table in this format is significant. So please make sure that you guys are writing this down, because that's going to lead in to 5 points that we're going to use for our graph. So now I'm going to bring this graph in. So let's see if I can get this out. So this right here is the graph of sine. So these points 0 to 2 pi, let me show in red. This is 0, 0, pi over 2, 1, pi 0, 3 pi over 2, negative 1, and then pi 2 pi 0. So there are very important things right here that are being shown in this graph. The first thing is that the period is 2 pi. Unless changed, the period for a sine function is 2 pi. We will get into that in a bit. Next up, you have in your 5 points, we call it a 5-point method. And you have 3 x-intercepts and then a max and a min. Now, I don't like to label those necessarily because when we get into transformations, it confuses people. So what you're going to do is it's going to be a 0, your starting value, plus your period, and then break everything up in equal pieces in 5. So you get 5 equal pieces to graph. Right now, the minimum is 1 and the minimum is negative 1 and the maximum is 1. If you think about it, the unit circle is all between negative 1 and 1, so that makes sense. Therefore, your range, your only possible y outputs in the plane parent graph of y equals sine x is negative 1 to 1. The amplitude, that is the distance between the center to the max and the center to the min. So there's 2 different ways you can find that out. You can add the minimum and maximum up, like their values, and then divide by 2. Or you just look at that center line and see the distance between the highest and lowest points. So this is sine. Next up, we're going to go to cosine. Please, please, please draw this graph on your paper. Label it. It's zero help if it's not labeled. So go ahead, draw this graph, label it, and then we're going to move over to cosine next.